Understanding the Paris rulebook, as it's called, which is literally the way that the agreement's going to be implemented across many different sectors, many different industries, is very, very important for business. So the first order of day really is to get clarity around that process itself, and also really understand what the end picture is going to look like. So of course within the rulebook there are some very specific areas that need to be focused on. There's been a lot of talk about carbon pricing and carbon markets. That's fantastic. What does that really mean at the end of the day? Where do I need to be considering which specific industry or sector in terms of which market, and how will that actually operate across and around the world? So those kind of issues are actually very, very fundamental to what business is trying to support in terms of the Paris Agreement itself, and also understand. And I think one of the other key reasons that businesses want to engage is there's this question of translation. And we were actually talking about this morning. There's a lot of acronyms, there's a lot of complexity around that. What does that really mean for a business? So being able to actually come in and be part of that process and actually translate some of that back towards businesses, enable them to understand what that means, and then translate that back to the overall policy process, I think is very, very key. My organisation, Novozymes, which is an industrial biotechnology company, works very closely in the bioenergy space. So one of the areas that we've looked into is actually leveraging the global action agenda to try and create a platform called Below 50, which is basically an opportunity for businesses who are looking at all parts of the transportation sector, from vehicle transport to aviation to shipping to fleets, to come in and say, well, what solutions have we got today that are available that can help reduce liquid transportation fuels emissions by at least 50% against today's benchmark? So there's some great technologies out there, but some of them are maybe a few years away, but we need to start acting now. So that's back to this question of enhanced ambition. So what we've tried to do is bring together a coalition of different organizations from across that value chain to really start looking at how they can actually make commitments, and also to really start looking at what kind of framework conditions, what kind of parameters, if you like, are around their business or around their industry that can either enable them or maybe actually are holding them back. So again, having that dialogue within a Talanoa dialogue space, and actually having the opportunity not only to talk, but I think increasingly to get people to listen, is actually really, really important.